I'm out here walking in nature, or as close to nature as you get, in an urban environment, large nature park, sounds of birds, lots of green stuff, and in the distance, the enchanting drone of nearby traffic. And I'm trying to find a segue into what I want to talk about, but nothing's really coming to me. Nonetheless, we need to talk about this generation's big TechDev buzzwords, as in all those words that technology sector innovationists are using to sell their ideas, the things they think will sound smart to investors. And there are three words that I want to get into, or three terms, three phrases, before I explain why I'm getting into them. And those three terms are Web 3.0, Metaverse, and crypto. And I have no doubt that at least one of those made you cringe, because at this point those phrases have been worn out like an old pair of socks, and they are already pretty poorly defined. There's very little concrete to say that's what it means. But let's have a look at the vague definitions that we do have. We'll start off with Web 3.0, which is basically decentralization. The idea being that Web 1.0 was big company, has stuff on computer, you can go there, you can read stuff on computer. Very passive, very one way. Web 2.0 was supposedly interaction, two-way communication. Big company has stuff on their computers, you can go there, you can read it, and you can write something of your own. You can make a status update, you can make a blog, you can even upload video. Web 2.0 is what we have now. It's often tied to social media and stuff like that. And then we have Web 3.0. Web 3.0 basically breaks with the idea of one big company has something. It's decentralized. It's just out there like air, and you can grab it when you need it. We already know peer-to-peer networks where there's no central computer, but people share files, sadly often illegally, between their own personal computers across networks. And other technologies are emerging. So that's what Web 3.0 is typically referring to. At least that's the short version of it. Then we have the Metaverse, which is probably the least concrete, the most vague of these buzzwords. Metaverse is basically big companies fighting back against the Web3 thing and trying to stake their own lot in the future of the internet. The idea is complete virtual environments where you can do whatever you would do in a normal environment, but you can do it online, and you can do it within the auspices of these big companies. A lot of metaverse stuff has been tied to virtual reality, which is actually a lesser part of it, but it's one of the more flashy parts of it. One of the things you can actually show people on a TV show or some other dead media like that. But the idea is that you have entire social spaces for people to congregate in, for people to buy stuff in, for people to experience stuff in, for people to substitute the real world for. And it has some aspects of the Web 3.0 decentralization thing in it, because the idea is also that you can share between platforms, that there's an interconnectivity, and you can, the constant example used is you can have a skin, meaning you can have a way that you look inside the metaverse, and you can share that from one place to another. You can have it in a game, you can have it in a virtual store, you can have it in a chat room, and it's always the same thing that you look like. Or you can change it and it will be the same other thing that you look like in all the places again. You're not locked into, you can only look like this when you're playing this game or when you're in this chat room. Everything is everywhere. That's about as concrete as the metaverse gets, I'm afraid. At least if we're keeping it short. And then we have crypto. Crypto, or cryptocurrency, which it's short for, is basically a version of decentralization like Web 3.0, but the point is ownership. The idea is that you can have something that is not tangible. You cannot hold it in your hand, but you can still own it. You can have money online, which technically we already have with online banking and stuff like that. But this money has nothing to do with the banks. This money lives on its own. There are no governments controlling the issuing of it. There are no banks controlling the network of distribution. The money controls itself. And of course, that means anarchy, which means scams, which means chaos, which means rampant speculation, and all those nice things. And just to make matters even more fun, we can add the NFT craze. And I'm not going to go into all the details of NFTs, I'm not going to go into the blockchain or anything, but both crypto, or cryptocurrency, and NFTs are about you owning something online. You own money that isn't controlled by anything but the money itself, the market, you might say. And NFTs are that you can own digital representations of something. You can own a picture online, you can own a video clip online. Doesn't matter if you have the picture clip itself, what you own is the deed to it, much like you own the deed to a house. And technologies make sure that these things are unique and not pirated or copied in any other way, or at least that's what they're supposed to do. The technologies we currently have are not that stable. These three terms are thought by many to be what will become the next internet, the next reality online. And that's a problem, because nobody has any fucking idea what any of this really is or means. They are just buzzwords. And those buzzwords, like so many others before them, are used to sell you on stuff, to convince you to join things, to basically scam and screw you over. That's more or less what buzzwords are for. They are ways of making things sound flashy. So why am I bringing this up? Because the foundation that these buzzwords are built on is solid. There is a point to it. The words have simply overtaken the meaning. We're not seeing the forest for the trees anymore. And that's a problem, because what these words actually refer to, the ideas and ideals, are good, in my opinion. The question then becomes, what can we do about it? First of all, we have to understand what we're dealing with when we pick up these buzzwords. What is the actual point, the actual purpose of these things? When we take away all the flash and all the bullshit marketing, what is left that has any meaning? And what can we do with that? The good thing about these buzzwords is that they are, in essence, all referring to a concept that is very deeply rooted in human psychology: control. Right now, as things stand, we are not in control of a lot of things when we go online. Everything is checked and provided and administered, and in the end controlled by large institutions, be they corporations, governments, technological foundations. They control what we can do, what we cannot do, and how we can use the things we have. If someone pulls the plug, what we had goes away. And that's not just the big plug for the internet, that's any little plug. If a game gets pulled online, then everything you had online in that game is gone. If a social media shuts down, everything you had on there, it's gone. You don't control what you have online. And that's what these buzzwords are in essence referring to. The decentralization aspect is little more than just saying that we don't want someone to sit with a switch in the middle of the web. We want things to work regardless of what someone in power feels about it. We don't want things to change just because someone wants to pad their bottom line. We don't want things to change just because someone wants to score more votes. We want things to work in our favor. We want to have control of what we see as ours. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. When I say we, I mean myself and a couple of people smarter than me that I've gathered up and asked a lot of tough questions. And they've given me a lot of good answers. What we are going to do now is construct a place online that is our own, a place that is its own, without gatekeeping from large institutions. This isn't really that different from the whole metaverse idea. In fact, it's not really that different from a lot of things that are already out there. Large online games and large online worlds. But what's important about it is that it has to become decentralized. In the beginning, sure, some central authority will be needed in order to construct the core of it. But as it grows, it has to grow out of the hands of anyone in the middle. It has to belong to the people who are involved in it, the people who enjoy it. And that goes for all the things that comes with it, things that are also included in those buzzwords and other related issues. Unique ownership, the stuff that NFTs are supposed to be all about, when you ignore all the scams and strange debates that have popped up. The ability to own something beyond a single game, single platform. The ability to have something that is your own even though you cannot hold it in your hands. Money. Influence. Everything that it takes in order to have control of your own life has to be reproducible online. That is what we're going for. Those are the ideals that lie behind all the buzzwords. When you strip away all the glamour, all the flashy talk, it comes down to not being in the hands of gatekeepers like large corporations or governments or the like. In many ways it's a freedom issue. In many ways it's a security issue, safety issue. It's the ability to live a life, in this case online, where someone cannot just pull the plug on everything you have accomplished. Now the details about how to do this, they're going to come. They're going to follow. They're also going to change because this is still new territory. We've seen how people struggle with Web 3.0, metaverse, and crypto. How people try to say, we've now made it stable, we've now made it secure. And it turns out that those were empty promises. This is an unpaved road. This is new terrain. This is techno-anarchy in many ways. And a lot of it has to be learned on the way there. But I believe, I know for a fact that it can be done. I have seen the individual pieces of the puzzle, but I have yet to see anyone put those pieces together. This is what must be done. This is what we will attempt to do. And what can you do? For now, stay tuned. There is no action agenda, there is no investment platform, there is no individual involvement, not yet. It's too early. What you can do is stay informed, stay tuned, and maybe get the word out to someone you think might be thinking along the same lines. The future is not going to come on its own, and it's not going to come from some established giant of the tech industry. It's not going to come from some investment bank. It's not going to come from some government program. The future has to be made by those who are going to live in it. And this is what we are going to accomplish.